So, off the very like the very first thing when I saw this matchup, um, I was kind of critical on the bot lane more,
Mm,
specifically on brand pick. So the only
okay.
reason why I didn't like this brand pick is because Vayne, you're gonna be poking a lot with Vayne,
Yep. Yep.
and you're up against a Samira, which other than your Q, she actually cannot block your W or E, which is fine. But the problem is, for one, the other side are full of divers, and Vayne needs protection. So for you to choose a brand, you're kind of unable to protect the Vayne if they choose to dive the Vayne at all costs.
Mm,
If anything, you're gonna be a sitting duck with the Vayne. So that's one. The other two is the only other reason I didn't like this brand is because you're gonna use mana to poke the other side. And the other side has a Senna, which is gonna use mana to heal them up.
mm.
So it counters in that sense uh your whole idea of dominating lane with damage because it's just gonna heal back the damage. So when I first saw this game, like when I saw the champ select, when I saw the brand, I was like, like if it was me, I would have picked something like Lulu. So yeah, thoughts?
I mean, yeah, he said, yeah. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Makes sense to me.
Mm.
If you want to just out poke a poke comp, but like, I'm pretty sure that's what Theo was thinking. You
I,
want to
I
out poke a poke comp.
I definitely think so. Yeah. So like it's like of course like those are the points that I can think of, but like on the spot I don't know. Like maybe he thought he
Yeah.
really could outpoke, and like yes, Brand does have the damage, so like maybe he thought it would work.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I definitely understand that. Um, the only other thing that I thought of when I saw the team comp was there's not a whole lot of synergy in the sense that um, aside from the poke from Brand and Vayne,
You don't
uh,
have a lot of you don't have a lot of team synergy. You'd have to really rely on Nico going Wukong and getting the ult off.
yeah, that's the only combo that I saw.
Hmm.
Yeah. So for the most part, like I know that like the rest like it will be up to them because in terms of late game, they have two of the biggest hyper carries.
Hmm.
Yeah. So uh of course like all the negatives I thought of are now out, and the positives are they have two super hyper carries, and if they really get to a late game with and Brand having some items, not even like full items, but just some items,
Yeah. Yeah.
they have huge amount of damage.
Yep, they do. Their potential to do damage in a team fight is really high, but the problem is you gotta get them in the team fight.
Yeah.
And since most of them are, well, the setup is melee, the you really have to depend on them coming to you, which they won't because the only person that would do that is Diana, and Kane just comes in from the side. Same thing with Fiora.
Yeah.
Okay, before you start, just give me a minute. I need to bring my dogger down.
Okay.
Be right back.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of late game carries, we're looking at a hyper carry, which is Vayne, and a farm successfully late game Nasus with heavy Qs. But in this sense, because there's a Fiora on the other side, Fiora will likely be split pushing, so it will put either Nasus or potentially Silas against Fiora, which means you're always going to be short a hyper carry in the team fight. But speaking of hyper carries, the other side also has two to three of them. Fiora technically counts as one, but Fiora's going to be split pushing, so she's out of the picture most of the time. Samira, on the other hand, Samira's ult, Samira's dash, Samira's like wall can easily turn the tide because majority of the damage from the other side is actually Vayne. Silas does damage, but Silas not gonna be able to one shot immediately, which gives Samira a bit of chance to get out. And as soon as she walls, the Vayne loses a lot of damage. But that's not the only problem. Is that they have two that I mentioned, and then they also have a Senna, which is a farming type late game carry. So in terms of actual damage carries, the left hand side or the blue side actually has more than the red side. So that's actually a potential problem for our friend on the blue side. This game demonstrates how assassins need to really position themselves to flank correctly, because in terms of late game, assuming even, as Vayne has to look out for two assassins that are going to be on them. And this goes back to the point where I mentioned before, where Brand cannot provide much protection to the Vayne. Vayne basically need to do everything herself, which is including alt plus Q, so she's stealth, or the potential push away on targets. And you can only do that so much before two of the biggest assassins just look at you, go at you, and just like one shot you. So this goes back to why when I saw the picks, like when I saw the Brand, I'm not exactly too confident on the Brand pick. I'm not talking about how the player themselves cannot control Brand to absolute. Like, I know TK Fire can, but the champ itself just doesn't provide the protection that is needed for this team comp. Vayne ultimately is your carry. If you choose someone like Sona, Seraphine, Lulu specific, and I'm very confident that if this pick was Lulu, they would have won. But oh, spoiler. In any case, yeah, this is a team comp diff.
Okay, I have returned.
Okay, ready?
Are we recording? Recording?
Oh yeah, I've already recorded.
Oh, okay. Then
Yeah.
let's begin.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see here. I'm pretty sure that you've explained what the differential is and what potentials that they or our team could have, but and what the enemy team also has.
Yeah. So a bit of the side note is that yes, I do know the outcome of this match because I watched it. I watched it live, so therefore,
Right.
like, there's a lot of things that I would know will
Mhm.
potentially happen, but I'll still explain in a way that like I
Mhm.
don't.
Mhm.
And one of them was that I explained the assassins is a big problem because Vayne only can do so much before the assassins jump on her.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
like actual physically. Like aside from Diana, like Vayne, Kane, even in red form, like Kane just an assassin as well.
Minions have spawned.
I also mentioned that while you were away, I also mentioned that there are two hyper carries on the red team, which is Nasus and Vayne. But the
Right.
actual problem is that because the blue side has a Fiora, Fiora's technically going to be split pushing most of the time.
Right.
Fiora
So the
doesn't
Nasus
really, yes, Fiora doesn't really join team fights that much, so they need either
something to answer.
Silas or Nasus to go find Fiora, and that's a problem.
That's right. Because yeah, and that's the stopping power of Fiora. She's the queen of split push, and without any answer, then she's going to go to inhib within